Right, what we're going to do is we're going to make up a cable that we use to connect from the battery to your inverter. So basically from the battery you go into your fuse holder. From the other side of the fuse holder we're going to go to the inverter. So we need to make sure what is the size of cable that we need. That will depend on the amps that's going through the cable. And then remember, you have got different cable sizes. So on the cable you can actually see it's marked over there. This one can handle up to 1000 volts DC, and then also there you can see it's a 35 square millimeter cable. You do find other cables that's a little bit thicker. This one is 50, there's just another cutoff that I can show you that there's a difference in the diameter. Then by using different size cables, we must make sure that we use the correct terminals. This one says 8 by 35, maybe not so easy to see. And this one say 10 by 50. Alright, so for the 50, the 10 means that is my diameter here, and the 50 is the thickness of the cable that will go in here into this terminal. If I look at this one, it says 8 and 35, so the hole here is 8, so I'll use an M8 screw that goes into the fuse holder, and from the fuse basically going into the inverter as well. I cannot drill a hole, so if I crimp the 8 and I need the 10, I cannot drill a hole because I'm weakening the connector and it's not then designed to handle the type of current that's supposed to go through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to terminate this, we're going to put on this terminal onto this cable. Alright, so then we need to measure the distance and how much isolation am I going to take off. So we can use either a proper cutter, you do get a tool that can cut the isolation. What we sometimes do is just using a Stanley knife. So then, as I said, if we measure it, we cut around, and basically just to save time I've done this. Okay, we cut around this, make sure you don't cut through the isolation, you can move it around and then basically you can pull the isolation off. I didn't cut into any of this copper strand over here, so you can see it's quite thick. Now I'm going to give it to Michael so that he can actually do the practical experience and crimp it for us. So he's going to move this terminal onto the cable, and then we need to crimp it. Also, by looking at the crimper that we use, you can see the type of crimper that we are using. There's dies, it says 35. Okay, so the cable that we are using is a 35mm cable. And then also, if you're going to use the thicker cable, the 50, the other cable here, we need to change the die. We need to put the 50 on it as well. Alright, so it depends on the thickness of cable, what crimper we're going to use. So I'm going to hand over to Michael so that he actually shows us how to connect this connector here onto the cable. Alright, so first you need to fit it.
I'm going to try my best to get as many of these little pieces of wire and make sure I get them all inside there. It's quite difficult. Ooh, and it doesn't work. So I'm going to now straighten out this cable again.
Yeah, sometimes some of them slip over easy, some of them don't go over that easy. It depends on how this was manufactured.
Yeah, it's manufactured. It looks like it's manufactured a bit wide, a bit narrow maybe.
What is it? What we sometimes do, we take a cable tie and we put a cable tie over the multi-strand, we pull it together, so that makes it easier for the multi-strand to slip into the connector as well. Okay, thanks. Yeah, you see, this is making it a little bit difficult. It's not so easy, as I say, this comes with, you need to make sure that, as I say, sometimes you take the cable tie, you put it around there, and you make sure that you don't get anything. You see, this one goes quite tight, so you can get some. Okay. You slip it like that. Okay. Alright, that will, as I say, that will come with experience. The more and more you actually connect this. It's not so easy. You can see there's an opening in front. This is actually used for indoors. The ones that's sealed is for outdoor. So you cannot mount the one that's got this little gap here outdoors because you're going to get moist in there. So this is for indoor use. Alright, so you push this all the way through, and now you can basically crimp it. Sometimes it's easier if you actually have got two people to assist you holding that. Okay, then we're going to push it through into the die. Okay. Alright, and then make sure this is released so that this can actually push all the way forward by crimping the terminal. You can even see it's printed on the terminal as well. It says 35. Right, so you can see it says 35 over there. Not all of them has actually got the imprints on, so I'm just going to measure this. I'm going to say, right, I need so much sleeving, and what I'm going to do is I'll just cut it using a Stanley knife. I can cut it all the way through. Sometimes the people use a side cutter. That's also fine. Okay, so I cut it like that. If you actually want to cut it more nice and straight with a side cutter, you're welcome to do that as well. So we basically cut it, and on this side I'm just going to cut it straight as well. Okay, and then we can actually open the heat shrink. Now the proper way that you need to shrink this is giving it heat. Alright, Michael can do that as well. Maybe I can turn this. But now you use a heat gun. It looks very much like a hairdryer. So that heat will actually shrink this so that you can actually round it off nicely. What we do today is just a lighter. Okay, that's not normally the proper way of using it. But just for demonstration, if you do get stuck, you are welcome to use a lighter as well. Because of that heat, you can see how it's starting to shrink. And then what we normally do is we just turn it. Okay, you can see there it's shrinking great. Okay, let's turn it a little bit more. Okay, pushing it back to the side as well. Great. Okay, turn it. Alright, when you use the heat shrink, the shrinking is actually taking place much faster. Okay, a little bit here. Do is I'll just turn it like that. Okay, so it's getting off. Okay,
and this will seal the bond.
Alright, so then basically that seals. Okay, it's supposed to seal. It's not here, we've got a air con running on here. Okay, so you can see basically. So when I crimp it, you know, then you can actually see it is nicely crimped like that. We didn't do that. Okay, but now you can see now that is also protected. Happy? Is that fine?
It's good.
Yeah, so I can actually just heat it up a bit more because it's supposed to shrink nicely onto that board. Now, obviously, if you use the heat shrink, the heat, there's quite a lot of heat that's involved, and it's shrinking much tighter. Right, so basically that is what it looks like. Okay, and then you can actually pull on it to make sure it is secure.